No, the drinking has been a recent phase of depression due to many factors, including too many men, a slow car with not enough horsepower, and many other problems. Touge as a woman. Okay. So this is kind of the story of how I got into driving. I grew up close to a little road called, and in early high school, just around when I got my driver's license, me and my group of friends started mobbing SUVs. And, it's a pretty quiet road, not a lot of action. Like, we didn't really meet any other people, but we kind of started a leaderboard for that, and there were times, and we all competed, and it was mostly, like, mom cars, like, literal minivans and shit. And then, as I kind of got older, I met some people and I made some connections, and then when I got back from college last year, I had a friend take me to, and I'd never been in like a racing context, and we saw like really like a lot of fast cars and a lot of action up here, and that was very attractive to me. So I started learning the road, and like day 2 or 3 of me running this road, I got a lot of looks because, like girl kind of pushing pace in a Subaru, you get the idea. So I met a group of boys with a lot of track numbers and decals, and they knew a lot about the road and gave me a lot of knowledge, and of course told me to stop double laning because that was my initial instinct due to background. And they introduced me to track, and I ended up making friends, and that's how I ended up in this community on, which is now like a massive part of my life. It's very interesting being a girl because you're very closely watched and scrutinized. Like, any slip up you make is like everyone comes after you for it, and but I also feel like I'm given too much credit. My times aren't world-endingly fast, and I get a lot of attention and a lot of clout for it. So I feel like it's unfair in a lot of ways, some of which are to my benefit and some of which are not. You make certain screw-ups as a guy, and everyone just thinks it's the normal, and if you do it as a girl, you're retarded, you're a woman driver, Men also have a huge ego about driving, so very quickly things can get butthurt. Someone thinks that they're faster than me, we run it, they think they think they're gonna be fine. I keep up with them, or I lose them, and I lose a friend through that sometimes, or a potential friend. So that is quite challenging for me, and it's a question of, do I back off and do I just do something for the benefit of a dude's ego, or do I drive like I would normally drive and win?
So their ego gets so hurt that they can't be friends or something?
Yes, and they will flame me on certain methods of social media. So
well, what can they say? It's like, oh, I got beat by a woman.
No, well, like, certain people have said, oh, it's like, it's, you have better tires, or you have better brakes, or you have track experience, or, yada, 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 or, oh, my car has X, Y, and Z wrong with it. And I'm like, why don't you just, like, when I'm beaten, the difference I think with women and men a lot of the times is when I'm beaten, I just am like, yep, you're faster than me. That's really cool. I'm impressed. That's great.
So the thing is, like, the drivers among each other, they're always going to find the difference between setup and a reason why one may be faster than the other. So do you think that this is a woman-specific thing?
I think that there's a certain amount more scrutinization because I'm a woman, or at least that I get more negative and positive attention for it. But I think, in terms of people who are on the leaderboard not as a joke, like, I know there are some Jeeps and some, other cars in there, In terms of people that are not there as a joke, I probably have the worst setup out of any of the cars in like the top 30. And I'm not too poorly off on that list, like time-wise.
Okay, so you got like Jeeps and joke cars as bad SUVs as an F tier, and then yours would maybe be just like passing then, like a D tier car, just fast enough to have a serious time on the leaderboard.
Yeah, but I know that there are a lot faster cars that are a lot slower than me on that leaderboard, and you know, that have a much better setup than mine. And
do those drivers specifically give you shit?
I haven't. Most of the people who are like seriously into timing don't get as butthurt as, like, say, not to name names, you can bleep this out, but I avoid conflict to the best of my abilities. I feel like my presence in this community starts enough conflict, you know? Like, it's the classic, like, girl shows up at a car meet. Do you even know what this is on your car? Can you even tell me how to, you know, do this? Do you even know what this part is? It's that mentality all the time. At
a car meet, which is funny because in those places, people, they have encyclopedia knowledge, but it's going to be minimal compared to
they have no driving dynamics knowledge. It was really funny. I went to a car meet. I rarely go to like meets because like I go to meets and, you know, stand 20 feet away from my car and I hear people making fun of it, and it's just, you know, I love my car, so it's a little painful for me. I'm like, you know, so I got into this shit with these guys. They were talking shit about my car and I walked over. I'm like, hey, I heard what you had to say about my car. I just wanted to know, what do you drive? And, you know, they drive some muscle cars, and I'm like, I'll race you for pinks. And they're like, oh, bet. I'm like, you know a road called and they're like, yeah. And I'm like, I'll race you on the downhill for pinks. Of course, none of them showed up.
Right.
But like, they were all like, yeah, I'm a pull up. I'm gonna be there. And I'm like, are you really now? Because I'm gonna win a brand new Mustang. It's gonna be great. You know, 2020 Mustang. Cool, I'll sell it, buy a new race car. Suits me just fine.
that seems to be the trend, right? And it's crazy how it's you've tried the same thing going to meets, I guess, bait people into racing, and they don't take it.
People up here, if you meet someone in the parking lot or at though, I've almost never had someone turn down a race. And you know, I don't think I'm the fastest on the mountain. And I'm not saying I don't have an ego, because I do. I definitely sometimes go after people that I know are going to be slow just to fuck with them and have a good time. But at this point, it's been about a year on this mountain, and I feel like I know everyone who's legitimately fast. Like, I ran into that Mustang boy the other night. You know the dark Mustang that's actually quick? We have footage of me chasing him.
Yes.
I ran into him, but he was in a different car, and I'm like, who the fuck is this who's keeping up with me? Because I know everyone who can keep up with me. I'm like, who is it? And I realized it was him when we got to the top, and he hopped out. But he binned his Mustang. Anyway, it was just funny, because I was like, I almost never run into people who are fast who I don't know. Like, I run into who's like an inch from my bumper in 30 seconds, and I'm like, all right, I know who it is. Run into he's an inch from my bumper, whatever.
So who are the top 5 drivers then?
On this mountain or in general in the
yeah, let's say for the that you've met. Of course, I know there's certain
based
people.
On driver skill, people who I've sat with.
Yeah, driver skill, not time, but
top 5. So I'm gonna give it to God, I don't know all their aliases. Let's say so I'll give Night Vale 1. I'm gonna give 1. I'm gonna give Sad Bimmer, but now he's something else.
Okay.
I'll give him 1. We all know who that is. And then from the east, I recently explored some stuff, which was eye-opening. It's definitely a different kind of skill, but I'm gonna give Road Warrior and Student Driver a shout out for that. They're pretty fucking crazy on that road.
Nice. Okay. I'd say that's all solid choices. When you're giving me the top 5s, is that part of it track driving that you've seen?
No. It's all like from what all those people I've sat with, all of them, and this is based on me analyzing like not how fast they are, but how well they cope with a platform, you know, with the flaws in a platform. And how, you know, I think canyon driving is an art, and how artfully they handle the car on the mountain.
Well, what about consistency? Would you consider that an important factor?
Consistency is important, and it's something that I'm not always there on. I mean, I was told by a friend just the other day, I'm not always pulling the same G's around the same corners. I have an issue with confidence around left-handers due to a minor little crash I had. When I say minor, I actually mean minor. There was very little damage to the vehicle. I'm very lucky. But yeah, consistency is hugely important. Catching oversteer, hugely important. Not something that I've had to deal with too much of yet, but you know, yeah, skill.
Okay. And there's always some things that you're trying to improve on. Like in terms of skill, what are you trying to improve the most nowadays?
Okay, so lately I'm working on, I had a phase just about a month ago where I was working on late braking, and you know, I'm on Hawk HP Pluses, which is a pretty good brake, and I'm considering some G-locks for my car. Trying to get my braking done in as little of time as possible instead of trail braking so much because I'm losing speed there. And then also, you know, I have confidence with heel toes into stop signs, but when I'm really at pace, I worry that I'll miss a shift, and that, you know, for me, when you're going at that speed, if you miss a shift, you throw your balance off so badly you might crash. So I'm, you know, trying to have the confidence to hit the heel toes when I can in the mountains and as well as on track. Track for me has been a really beautiful place to develop skill. Like, I think that canyon driving and track feeds into each other really beautifully because track gives you this element of safety that you don't have on the canyons. You know, you can go off on track, you can make some really big mistakes, and you know, it's very forgiving in that sense. And you also get a short course with, you know, good quality times, and you get to try different things. Like, I love having my timing device up and being like, okay, I did this differently on this lap, and how does it affect my time? Where did I gain or lose time? And then looking at the telemetry later and being like, you know, the way I took this corner improved my time here, but if I take it the same way on that corner, it you know, trashes my time around that corner. So, you know, let's see if we can combine all the best methods of taking each corner together to make a perfect lap. On the other hand, canyon driving is, you know, it gives you a different kind of adrenaline because there's the element of the unknown, like, you know, oil in the road or deer or another idiot double-lating down when you're trying to go uphill. So it gives you a new element of danger and having to have sharper reflexes. And, you know, on track you can almost count on consistency there. On Touge you can't. Conditions change so fast. I know I was headed up the other night and we were going to an event by way of and I'm with a big group and I'm kind of in front and I'm vibing out, and we're hitting some corners and everything's good, and I got some brand new tires on, full grip, everything's fine. And then out of nowhere, the mountain goes from completely bone dry to completely soaking wet, and I understeer across 2 lanes, and I'm like, what the fuck was that? I thought something broke. Like, I legitimately pulled over because I thought something snapped. I'm like, I got out, I'm like, oh, it's raining. Oh, like, so things can change so quickly, and that, you know, requires a new element of driver skill.
Okay, so doing track and canyons, you do a bit of both. Which one do you feel like you're gravitating towards nowadays?
I couldn't say. Both.
Okay.
Both.
Okay.
I love it both. I'm never gonna give either up. I'm probably gonna sell this car and upgrade soon. It's gonna be E36 time, and in the meantime, I am going to go for some Prius records. I have a brand new Prius that I've inherited. I'm gonna slap some Champiros on it, and I'm gonna stay busy with that on, you know, on Touge for the most part.
Wait, why sell the car and go to the Prius platform?
Well, I'm not going to the Prius platform. The Prius is gonna be the new daily. It's gonna be the new this car. And then I'm going to build a race car, which I fully plan on keeping Vermont registered and being able to canyon, which is, you know, the goal to have a hybrid car, but the setup needs to be very adjustable due to conditions. Like, there are a lot of bumps. Like, I want to be able to run on my car, and you can talk to Mr. Sad Bimmer, and he'll tell you that his car won't do. his splitter is too low, but it won't handle well without the arrow, and you know his shocks are too stiff, he'll blow a strut, yada yada yada. You know, I want to set up a car that is equally good at both, not perfect at one thing. And that's what I love about this car so much, is it's a hatch. You can take it camping, you can put the family in it, you can go buy a Christmas tree with it and put it on the roof, you can hit a canyon run, you can do a track day. I mean, knock on wood, this car's been indestructible for me, which I've enjoyed thoroughly.
Okay, so you are that E36 that's going to be both for canyon and track performance.
Yeah.
And that Prius is just kind of a
The Prius is going to be a hobby.
Okay.
The Prius
okay.
is an exciting new hobby, because it's like, and this is the ego coming out, mind you. It's embarrassing being tailgated by a woman in a stock 140 horsepower Subaru. It's more embarrassing to be tailgated by a woman in a stock Prius.
Okay.
That will be really, really damaging, and it will be a lot of fun for me, because part of my fun with canyoning is the moment where I chase someone up to and they pull over expecting to find a fully built WRX with a man behind the wheel, and it's a girl in a completely stock Subaru Impreza, and I'm just like, hey, what's up? And the look is priceless on people's faces, and that's a solid part of why I do it, or at least why I go up in the daytime during sunset hours.
Wow, because I mean, as a woman, you'd get the extra elements of surprise on top of having the underpowered car.
Yeah,
I think that's an experience that no one else would be able to get.
Absolutely. I like the reaction where they're like, pop the hood, and I'm like, it's stock, and they're like, no, really, pop the hood, and I'm like, all right, dude, you're gonna see a stock FB20 in there, no nothing, no turbo, no intake. I got a K&N oil filter, if you're gonna call that a mod, but I don't. So
this Prius is going to be like this, but taking it to the next level then?
Taking it to the next level of slowness. I really like, I'm passionate about the idea of driving slow cars fast. So the Prius is slower than this, which is impressive. I do plan on doing a traction control delete on that, so that will be my one mod other than brakes and tires. And I think I'll really, really enjoy canyon driving in that car, and then being able to build the race car as well. It allows me to, have a car that can go down sometimes, can go through an engine swap, and I have some car to get me places. Assuming I don't bin the Prius, all bets are off in terms of that.
Dang. No, this is exciting, because actually, we'll be within the scope of the car's performance with the Clarity and the Prius. Yeah. And the similar tires, I would say.
What are you running on the Clarity?
It will be RS4s or AO52s if I decide to really just ham it up and surprise the shit out of people that don't know about tires.
Yeah, I meet a lot of people up here who are like, wow, how does your car corner so fast? And I look at their setup and they're running all seasons. I'm like,
there you go.
Dude. Although, no shame, because like a year ago, like I wasn't aware that sticky tires were like affordable. I was aware that like Hoosiers for F1 cars existed, but I wasn't aware that there was like, that you could buy Indy 500s or Champiros and not spend all that much money to have a much quicker experience, And I don't even think they make those tires for SUVs anyway, so it's not like I would have been able to put them on the Pilot. Shout out to Big Ups, or whatever he is now, fucking Honda Pilot driving.
Big Ups? Oh, there you go. Okay.
Whatever the hell he got booted. He's been booted.
Right, yeah, behavior things. Now, so you've seen all these reactions. What is like the one that really stands out to you?
Oh, this is good. So, I'm headed downhill on a very mild cruise down from Sunset. It's a peaceful sunset, just getting dark. And, I run into two BMWs in front of me, kind of stock but new looking. I don't know what they were, like 328s, but like new, like 2021 or something. Okay. Like with the ugly new grills. Anyway, so I run into these two cars, one's white, one's gray, and they take off, and I take off after them per the usual, and we're pushing, and I see these kids like really fighting oversteer poorly, like deeply poorly fighting oversteer and barely recovering. And normally when I see a person hit oversteer and then barely recover it, I'll see them slow down and back way the hell off. These boys were not doing that. They were literally just like nearly dying and then being like, oh, I'm just keep going at this pace. And I'm like, all right, this isn't really maintainable. So I followed them down with a good, 50-foot gap because I don't want to crash right into them doing idiocy. And we get to the turn where it's like, you go straight on or you take a left into the 76, and I take the left into the 76, and as I do, I slow down and I have my windows cracked as I do to hear tire noise, and I see the boy, they stick their head outside the window, and one dude turns to his friend in the passenger seat. He's like, yo, it's a girl! Like, in the most, like, shocked, like, comical way I've ever heard someone say that. And they, like, flip out of the going straight line into the turn, like, follow me into the 76, and they hop out, and they're all like, yo! And they're jumping up and down. And I'm like, bro, dude, I've never received this much hype. I mean, okay, like, I'm game for it. And they're like, what'd you do to your car? Tell me about it. Like, give me some shit.
Going from track, it's supposed to bring back this technical ability when you go back to your home course. And yes. I see that, but I also see a very common trend where people come back slower than they were before. So what's going on with that?
I don't see that at all. And I mean, you've seen that reflected in my times. In about a month and a half, I went from a 248 to a 241. Mm-hmm. That's 7 seconds that I cut purely in better braking technique. It wasn't really in line. I didn't really spend that much more time on driver development, actually practicing on the mountain. It was mostly track experience and realizing the full potential of your vehicle. But yes, I think track has, if you use it the wrong way, track has the ability to make you fearful or more fearful of what the mountain could do to your car. For sure. And it also, like, once you have a place to fully unleash your car's potential with no risk of police or less risk of injury and accident, it's hard to go back to having that level of confidence, especially if you spent a track day going off track a lot and you did not have a successful track day and you spent a lot of time off-roading. We like to call it happy accidents off-road. Yeah. Anyway, if you did that a lot, you might be like, oh, I did that on the track. What if I go and do that on the mountain? Things will not end so well for me. But I haven't had many of those experiences. I've gone off track a few times, but nothing too ugly.
What might be happening is the people that maintain both canyons and track equally get to yield those rewards, but the people that gravitate too far away from canyons may come back with a more difficult time.
History shows that women tend to play it safer because we, are biologically inclined to take care of our bodies. We're child bearers. That's what we're intended to do, and we're intended to, protect ourselves and not show off and be smart and, live. Men are programmed to show off and to take a lot of risks because it tends to attract women. So that's how we're naturally programmed, and I think women, I meet a decent amount of women that take their vehicles where they've put some wheels and a wing on them, and they take them to, whatever, to meets, whatnot, cars and coffee. But I meet pretty much no women that have reached the limit of their platform like I have. Like, you can ask Mr. what the fuck, Lex, what's his name on the fucking thing?
Rex
Love. You can ask him. We made a bet. I made a fairly risky bet with him where every second that he got faster than my time on track, I would give him $100. So say he got 5 seconds faster than me on track, that would be $500 that he would get from me. Which is a really significant amount of money considering I earn just about a little over minimum wage. And he was unable to get the car to go any faster. I see a lot of girls going out in Corvettes, running, 140s around West, which I do in my sleep upside down while, playing poker and whatnot.
Right.
You know,
So
it's not a very aggressive time in my opinion. And I think women just are not programmed to be able to do this, and I don't know the full extent of why I am more on the capable side of that spectrum.
Built different,
and I like somehow naturally have a really high testosterone level, which I basically like researched this on myself a little bit too, because I wanted to prove my point. I thought I might have a high T level, and I got tested, and I do. And so I think testosterone is part of what makes you fast on the mountain, and part of what, you know, motivates you, because you can be a very technical driver and be very competent, and I've seen a lot of people be very competent, but then, you know, they don't have the competitive aspect to it, and they don't have the fire to go faster, like emotionally. And I think if you don't have that, you really will never find limits, because it's just not what you're built for. And I just think it requires a certain mentality like that. Oh, I have a lot of advice for the newer drivers. Well, to go on the woman train, not to exhaust the woman train, but, you know, be nice to everyone you meet on Touge. You don't know who they are, you know, and what their background is, and I think that supporting everybody and, you know, driving to the best of their ability is a huge part of the community, and it's how I became part of the community. Had people not been so welcoming to me, I would not have ended up where I am today. You know, in terms of cars at all, I would never have hit the track. In more specifics to newer drivers, upgrade brakes immediately. I think that's the first modification anyone should do to your car. Brakes are your lifeline. They are what will keep you from getting killed. Number 2, do not go down in tread wear too fast. I know I'm a hypocrite because I went down in tread wear really fast. Don't do it. You're really gonna regret it. Like, just start off with some 280, 300 tread wears and go down by 50 or 100 in tread wear each time. Do not go to slicks or semi-slicks when you're not prepared for it. It's a really, really terrible idea. In fact, don't drive on slicks in the mountain. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be setting a time in Hoosiers in 6 months, and people are going to laugh at me, but...
No, that's fair, because this is for the newer drivers. This is...
For the newer drivers, do not be an idiot and purchase yourself a pair of Hoosier R7s. I promise it will not make you fast. It will get you killed. Spend a lot of time driving the road slowly, and I mean this. You're not going to be competitive on a road. I think that every minute of canyon at, like, full pace, so we can call, like, somewhere between a 2:30 and a 3-minute road, in my opinion. You know, yes, there are people that are faster and slower than that, but that's, you know, the kind of average grouping. I think every minute takes you like 6 months to master. So a road that's 3 minutes long is going to take you like a year and a half to become really competent at. I think that's why I excel at, because it's 7 minutes and I've spent many years of my life on it. So learn the road before you go out and try and drive fast. Do not see someone going fast and be like, I think I should follow them and go their pace. You can't do that. Don't do that. Drive at your car's limit. Anyway, that's my TED Talk for today.
Okay, awesome. Anything for women drivers specifically going into this?
Women drivers. Well, I don't meet many. I know one other woman on this whole mountain. Take your advice from someone who knows more than you. Actually, this is for everyone. Take your advice from someone who knows more than you and is fast and has a lot of respect in the community. If you think you know better than them, you do not. Every time I've been like, oh, you know, with the track boys, I'm like, I don't like that advice. I think I'll do what I want. It turns out really badly. So talk to someone smarter than you. Don't listen to, you know, idiot boys, and don't let them bait you into anything you don't want to do in terms of driving stuff. You know, drive at your own pace. Be smart.
And that's for everyone too.
And stick with it. Like, you know, people will say a lot of shit. People, you know, I constantly get called this, that. I get called the opposite of everything all the time. You know, I'm hot. I'm ugly. I'm thick. I'm too skinny. I'm too fast. I'm too slow. My car is set up too well or it's set up too poorly. people are gonna have bad shit to say 100% of the time. Do what you want to do. Like, you want to drive a piece of shit, drive a piece of shit. You want to drive a fast car, drive a fast car. You want to be daddy's money, do that. You want to be your money, do that. Like, do what you want.
Okay.
Because that'll make you happy at the end of the day.
Nice.
Because that got me to break